Okay, so now I'll get into the actual point in today's class, which is doing quick heat maps. In the box folder that you guys should have, there is a links file, or a text file with a bunch of links in there. Take the first link and open it in your browser real quick. So what this is actually pretty amazing. St. Louis City, they have a very comprehensive database of all the crimes that they catalog pretty much for every month of the year. So this is amazing because you can use this to really understand where certain crimes are happening in St. Louis City, and you can visualize this using GIS. This is perfect for this heat map demo because it's going to be points. It's going to be point information. We can use that to really visualize density of certain crimes. So in this map here, I want you guys to download several months, and I just go August, July, June, May, April, March, Feb, Jan. That's fine. Just do the 2016 months, and bring those into a folder that you let's see. Yep, August, July, May. Yeah. So bring those into the folder that you have GIS connected to. So I have them connected into. I'm gonna make a new folder here. I'll call this crimes. Paste that in there. So once you have these in there, you don't need to do anything else. Just leave them as is and open GIS. And use the week 3 map that I set up for you guys, just so you have a base of St. Louis already set in place. A few things just to note before I do anything else. This map has the NAD 1983 State Plane Missouri East US feet coordinate system. This is the default coordinate system for St. Louis and Eastern Missouri. You always want to use this one if you're doing work in St. Louis. What we're going to do is we're going to add those charts into this file, and you guys know how to do this because I showed this guys last week, is to visualize XY data using chart information. So just add those tables into ArcMap. So just find where you save that stuff. In my case, I saved it into my Dropbox, this folder, crimes, and just add them all of them at the same time. You can add them all at the same time just by doing that. Select them all and just click add. You see I'll bring them all into there like that. And then you guys know how to do this already. Just simply right click on the chart, click on display XY data. It already has the X coordinate and the Y coordinate as fields, automatically filled into the X and Y fields. So all you need to do is just click OK. Just click OK on that. So this is the March 2016 crime. It doesn't differentiate the types of crime. We'll do that later. But do that for every single month that you downloaded. So March, let's just go in order. April, I'll just go down the list. May, display XY data. Okay. June, display XY data. All right. So now that we have all the data plotted, we want to take the information and we want to put that onto one shapefile. We want to take all this information and combine it together so we can analyze them at the same time. So the way you do that is you go to Geoprocessing and go to Merge. Then all you need to do is just drag in all these point representations into here. Save it somewhere. So output data set, it's going to save into my default geo database there. I'm going to save it into a location actually in my junk folder. I'll call this 2016 crime STL for St. Louis. I'll save it as a feature class is fine. Feature class is fine. And then just click OK. And let that merge happen. And when it's done, you see up here a new point data set came into your map, 2016 crime STL. Once that's done, you don't need these charts anymore because you already put that into a new shapefile. So just right click or shift select all these guys and remove them. You don't need them anymore. So now this crime data set here is a pretty comprehensive point data set. Pretty much, as far as I can say, all the crimes that happened in St. Louis in 2016. So you see there's 33,000 entries here. And it pretty much tells you exactly what happened at each of these locations. And we can sort this list by going to sort ascending to organize this list alphabetically to really understand what happened in St. Louis. So these are all different types of crime. Robbery, DUIs, drugs, disorderly conduct, everything. Now I want to clarify one thing real quick. When you look at this map here, you might think to yourself, oh my God, St. Louis. Everywhere you turn, there's crime happening. But I just want to clarify, like, these are just like isolated events. Really, that's what they are. And you shouldn't use this map to kind of generalize and make broad assumptions that St. Louis is the most dangerous city of all time, because I'm pretty sure if you go to New York City or another major city, it will be just as blurry as this map here. So just keep that in mind. Be careful of making broad generalizations about this point information. Okay, so this is cool. This is interesting. Let's start by making a heat map. Just straight up making a heat map. And I'll show you quickly how to do that, but then I'll show you how you can take this information and be a bit more specific at how you represent the heat map. But still, just generally heat map, go to Arc Toolbox. The heat map function is in the Spatial Analyst toolbox here. And then there's an option called Density. And then there's an option called Kernal Density. There's these other options here called Line Density and Point Density. These don't, in my opinion, give a great representation of heat maps. What kernel density does is it essentially finds, where there's a greatest density of points and creates a smooth contour around objects. So it's a bit more of a nice, graceful looking result than these other two options here. So that's why I highly recommend using kernel density as your heat map generator. So first, bring in your point field in there like that. For the population field, we'll leave this blank for now. For the output raster, just leave this as is. It's going to save into your local geodatabase. That's fine. Output cell size, we'll leave this as is for now because we want to see how big the pixels are before we start changing things. And search radius, let's say, I'm going to make something up, 500 feet. The unit of this number is going to be the unit of your coordinate system. In this case, I'm having feet, so that should work fine. And then the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at this map here, and I'm going to set the processing extent to be same as display. So go to Environments, Processing Extent, same as display. And that means it's going to generate the heat map only in the box we see here. And click OK. I'm just want to see what the first result we get is, because we're going to start changing those numbers to make a bit more sense later. So turn off this so you can kind of see what we got here. My opinion is that I think the sampling distance needs to be a bit bigger than 500 because this doesn't feel as smooth as I like. And I think the pixel size needs to be smaller. Each of these squares is going to be 1 pixel. It's still pretty big. I want a nicer looking map, so I'm going to remove that. Turn back point on. And this really is, if I'm honest with you guys, the way to make heat maps is you got to start adjusting those values until you get the result that you are happy with. Let's go back. Go to that. Leave this as is. Let's take the cell size and make it, I don't know, 500. Search radius needs to be much larger, so I'm going to make that 2,000. And environments, processing extent, same as display. Okay, okay. That's a little bit better. I think it could be a bit more generalized, but this is okay for now. So what you see here is basically essentially where the greatest density of points is located. Basically what this means is like in here there's a higher amount of events than here, for instance. Here it's a bit more spread out. That's why it doesn't look as dense here. But even though this is really like areas of interest that you want to focus on. So downtown, this little neighborhood in St. Louis is Dutchtown. This is actually an interesting neighborhood where there's, for some reason, a lot of crime. And then obviously in North St. Louis where there's a lot of segregation, a lot of shootings up there. Now, here are some ways you can start taking this. You're looking at this map, you think, it's kind of ugly, it's pixelated, I don't like that look. We can change that. So double click on the line of the data set that you just exported. And in the display tab here, there is this resampling option here. It's called nearest neighbor. If you change that to this thing called bilinear interpolation, then click OK. What this does, it just simply takes those edges and makes it a lot more smoother. This is essentially what ArcGIS uses to create contour lines. It uses this bilinear interpolation to kind of blur out the pixelation and make it the result a lot more nicer looking. So let's go back in there. Let's go to the Symbology tab real quick. I'm gonna look at my classes here. So go to the Symbology tab and the classification here and click on the Classify tab here. And what you see here, it's kind of hard to see. There's a little gray line here, and then there's a huge drop of events happening there. If you want this map to look a bit more interesting, where the intervals make more sense, you might want to try this option called Quantile. And you see what this does, it essentially condenses the lines to be where the greatest actual number of events are happening on the map. This is purely a visual trick. And then click Apply. And you see this begins to visualize the map in a bit more, focusing more on the actual data and kind of ignoring more of the outliers on the site. And then, for instance, you see this 0 option in your classification where there's 0. That doesn't mean there's 0, it just means there's 0 islands in the data set there. Just take that and just make it no color. Click Apply. And that will make the stuff on the outside not show up. Maybe take this one and that one, make that no color as well, just to kind of make the boundary a bit more nicer. And then you can, let's add a base map to that. So click on this, add base map up here in the plus tab. Let's just add an aerial image in the background just to make it show up on the map of St. Louis, the aerial of St. Louis, you can understand. And what you can do now is you can take this map and add a transparency. So double click on that, click on the display tab, and there's a transparency option here. Just make that 50% or something, click Apply, and you can begin to see how that overlays on top of the aerial.